Okay, we are now live.
Where would it be?
Just check out my channel page. Oh, I accidentally...
General's Gentleman. That's funny. Here it is, live now. Ask the developer to stream.
You should now see the live stream.
Alright, so I can see the chat here, live. Now we wait.
Oh, there are already 500 people watching.
That's not true.
They are crazy, man. Normally when I start, I get like 10 comments right away after 10 seconds. It's crazy. And then we have the first one. Hello, Payback Badass. Payback Badass. That's a good name.
Pop out chat. Popping out.
I don't see the viewer count. Okay,
it's actually my first time seeing
4 people watching right now.
I see 7.
Hello MP3. Hello Kleinstein. Hello Finn Waterman. Hello Harp Depp.
Where do you see their names and stuff? Oh wait.
In the live chat.
Obviously, hold on. Okay, right, they're just saying hi and stuff.
Hello 808 and Squares. Hello.
What's up, everybody?
808 and Squares is Leo, by the way.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, you are right now watching the Ask the Developers stream. And
wait, you gave him like a little wrench. That's kind of cool. Oh, he's a moderator.
yeah, he's a moderator. What is this for a game? This is a strategy game. Okay, we are playing hard for the beginning, and after that, hard very.
Fix that bug yet. That's Mayor's man.
Okay, I do my thing, you do your thing.
Did you do your intro yet?
Intro. So, I'm your host, cncHD, and together with me here on the stream is Jonathan. Jonathan from Arrayn Studio. He's one of the developers, and he will be happy to answer your questions.
Yep, I'm here. You guys got questions or want to talk about RTS? I'm the guy to talk to.
Go hard on him. He can take it.
Hopefully.
Also, I need to lower the volume a bit. It's a bit loud here in my ears. What is your story with Orange? I like Orange. That's my story.
Oh, the one like the team color?
Yeah, I always pick Orange on my stream, and people always
You know what
get
I was
confused.
thinking? It seems like a lot of RTS, they have like, when you choose a color, they don't have like some obvious colors, like black or white, or like, they only have you only are allowed like a limited selection palette, depending on like the amount of players playing. You can't get the game yet. Death Fort Production.
What?
You can't get the
Fort?
game yet. It's Fort. It's a 4RT. It's Fort. Death Fort. We're working on it. This is like a beta. We're beta or alpha? We're beta, I think.
We're beta.
This is our prototype that we're making, and in the near future, well, hopefully you can get it. But what you're seeing right now is all prototype assets. So we're still working on stuff.
So hello to 10 viewers. Thank you for tuning in. You're right now watching the Ask the Developer stream.
Are you seeing like outdated, like a little bit outdated? Because every time you say the stream count, I see it's higher on my end.
Okay, maybe I'm a bit outdated. That could be the case. Not sure about that.
I don't know.
I see 10. How many are on your side? How many do you see?
12.
Oh, now it's 12, yeah. Yeah, like I said in the beginning, this is a strategy game, and the name for this game is Warzone Middle East. It, as far as I know, it takes the best elements from all the strategy games out there. It is inspired by some of the strategy games, and it combines the best parts in one massive game, if I understood that right. Is that correct?
Say that again. I was reading a comment. I can only do one thing at a time because I'm
Yeah, no problem.
like that.
What I said is this game is inspired by a lot of strategy games,
Yeah.
and it takes the best elements and combines them in a big part, in a big game.
Yeah, we looked at a lot. We got 16 people now. We looked at obviously the main two games like game franchises we're looking at is Command and Conquer and StarCraft, but mostly Command and Conquer. So if you had to narrow it down to a single game, it would be probably Generals. And CNC Generals took a couple of elements from StarCraft and mixed it with the CNC formula, and it was really successful. And it had, of course, as we all know, like a kind of like a modern warfare, slightly futuristic motif that I'm a big fan of. You're going to find a lot of bugs in our build though, because we're in beta and we've got a lot of stuff to do before we can fix bugs, and we got just a lot of things to do in general. But you can probably get a sense of the direction we're heading towards with the game. Let's see. I can't answer this depth question. What edition of General Shockwave where I can play against the General Infantry Challenge? I don't know. I'm a big fan of Shockwave though. I really like that mod.
Yeah, Shockwave is a great mod. The people are asking me all the time, when do I do the next Shockwave video? And I'm always saying, not today, not today. People are getting very mad at me for not showing Shockwave. But it's a great mod.
Gotta please your customers.
Yeah, sure, I need to do that. But I have a vanilla game right now on my list. But Shockwave is going to follow soon.
Let's see. I wonder if they would. Did we advertise? You should advertise on the Game Replays Discord. Even though reasons that we discussed earlier.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Okay, this is hard AI, and we are right now sealing their third ore because we need money, and this is obviously our ore source. This belongs to us, therefore we have to take it.
You can see some of these. So if you notice some of the dust trails, I think I did the dust trail on the Abrams tank there. And a lot of the dust trails, we kind of duplicated it for the MRLS. What is that? I think that's what it is. You can tell the dust trails haven't been worked on yet, and we need to optimize a lot of things. So that will come in time. It looks a little bit better too, but not even a little bit. It looks a lot better whenever you get those passes through. Alex, I guess, asks, is there or will there be different types of factions in the future, like U.S., Russia, terrorists, etc.? So what you're seeing right now is a prototype faction, like I mentioned earlier, and we're actually working on our first, like, non-prototype faction. And we're not going to reveal what it is exactly, but we've made, what have we made so far? We've made a barracks, a power plant, and a tank. The tank is called the Pride Tank. And I like the look of it a lot. We're doing a couple little tweaks to it, and it'll feature an upgrade that gives it a rocket launcher on the side. And I'm debating whether or not those rockets should home. So one of the keywords we use is missile and rocket, and we say guided missile or unguided rocket. So that can have a pretty big gameplay implication, as you guys know. Like the Scud launchers in Generals were not guided. They were dumb, or they were like an unguided rocket. But the Tomahawk missile would follow its target to a certain amount until it ran out of fuel, I think. And that could be a big gameplay difference. So that's a decision we haven't quite decided yet. Gives you an idea of what we're thinking about. But to answer your question, we're considering a lot of things. Alex. We're considering a lot of things. So nothing's off the table. I like the ideas that you have, and we're considering more things that you haven't mentioned, and yeah, so that's all I can say right now. I really want to tell you guys more, but I can't because I'm really excited. I'm really excited about it. But yeah, that's the answer to that question. Lazy Bastard asks, why are the units so small? The units are so small because this is, again, the prototype version, and the units aren't sized properly, and the camera's too far, and there's a lot of interesting things we want to think about in terms of, like, what's the maximum amount of...
I can zoom in. That's now they are bigger. There we go.
So this is an interesting question because you can get in a pretty deep discussion about, like, where should the camera be? How far should I be allowed to zoom out? Because when you zoom out, you see more of the battlefield, right? But it also becomes harder to micromanage when you need to. And you could do it like, now I've only played a little bit of SoupCom, but like Supreme Commander does this thing where you have like a tactical and like a strategical view, I think. You can kind of pan out back and forth real quick or something like that. I forget how it works exactly. What we're interested in doing is probably not having a tactical view or a strategical view. We'll have probably something like finding a good fit for like, so the maximum zoom value will be the default zoom value. You can zoom in to see the details of the units and that sort of thing. And what we really want to do is give a lot of options to kind of customize the aesthetics for your units, right? And we'll get to more of that, what the microtransaction plan is going to be and all that stuff. But the general idea is we want to find a good, in terms of the gameplay right now for the camera, find a good zoom spot, lock it in, that's maximum zoom, and allow robust and not robust, but allow lots of options for the player to decide how they want to navigate the camera, right? So that's an important part of that. Let's see.
Also, hello to 19 viewers. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in.
I see 22. I think your stream is like delayed or something because I see 23 now.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, hello and welcome, and also thank you, Avi, for subscribing.
Okay. Payback Badass says, this looks like 0 hour. Well, that's true. It does. We're going to be moving in our direction a little bit away from, like, realistic. It will be realistic, but there will be a sense of, like, a little bit of fantasy mixed in. A little bit of sci-fi. So not unlike 0 hour, around that area of thing. We think that Generals is really the ticket here for what we're going for. Let's see. Thanks for the smiley face, Alex. I'm kind of late. I'm going through the chat one at a time because I want to make sure I hit everyone. Throwaway account says, for similar units that have ranged effects, like the ECM tank or the assault troop crawler, will there be a circle or ellipse to show its range? Absolutely. I'm a really big fan of having units that. So if a unit has like okay, let's take some examples. So like, let's say you have a. Ideally, we have the ability to indicate range on any unit. So if you select a unit, there's a faint circle that indicates its range. That could be too much visual noise. I'm not sure yet. We're going to experiment with that sort of thing. It would make more sense on an artillery piece because you want to know exactly where it can shoot from. And it makes even more sense, I would say, on a unit that has some kind of skill, right? And if you're a StarCraft, it's a spell. But we call them a skill in this game. So let's say it has like a shockwave effect, or we got like, if you have a troop transport and you want to know the range around the transport, in which if you select the button that says, gather nearby units, you want to know where that is exactly, and you get a feel for that over time. So yes, we want to add little graphics that show the indicators, illustrate information quickly and efficiently on what you want to do, and then also the option to turn them off. Maybe you don't need that help. Maybe you're just a pro, or you don't want to see it. You don't want to see it because it breaks your immersion or whatever. But yeah.
Brooding Salmon asks, is this the developer? Yes, this is one of the developers.
Yes, this is a developer. I am a developer. And yeah, we've got a handful of people working on the project, and we've got literally no money, like in the most literal sense. So we've been this is a passion project. What we believe. All right, this is what we believe. Right, we believe that there's kind of a gap in the market right now. I'll get to that question in a second. Throwaway account. That's another great question. You got good questions, dude. I like those good questions. So there's kind of a gap in the market right now where we saw the rise of RTS was big in the early 90s and in the early 2000s. We saw this rise of esports with StarCraft, and then as we advance into the mid 2000s, the late 2000s, MOBAs kind of come in and just kind of take control, right? It's a sour spot for RTS players. They don't really want to admit. The MOBAs have taken over the throne, right? And so we're building this game, right? This was months and months ago, and about the time I came on, and we're thinking, okay, what are we doing? You know, it's like we're building this, we're doing the same thing. What if we aim towards the multiplayer? What if we aim towards not being shy about the fact that we want to make an esport, right? What would that look like if we took a page out of the MOBA? That doesn't mean a gameplay page necessarily, right? The things that MOBAs do really well is that kind of presentation, right? If you ever played Dota, you have like this strategical phase, and your heroes, and it's like selection 1, selection 2, and it's dramatic and it's interesting, and for a lot of players that matters, right? Now I recognize that you guys are like the hardcore RTS players. You're on some obscure stream with some whack developer talking about what he wants to do, and no one sees this but us. But for a lot of players, there's a huge amount of players that want to have a more casual experience, and that has to do with things like how do you present the game, you know, like the versus screen and stuff, like in the MOBAs it's like all dramatic and stuff. And then there's the cosmetics. You know, you can buy endless cosmetics in games like Dota or League of Legends, and it doesn't feel forced, but they make a lot of cash on that. I forget what was I read the value. I forget. I researched the number of the amount of money that League and Dota pull per month, and it was kind of ridiculous. I forget what it was.
I think like millions.
It was tens of millions for. I think it was tens of millions for Dota, or like around 10 million, and like League of Legends was like 50 or 60 million or something like that. I forget what the numbers were, but it's a lot. So the problem is RTS has not evolved. RTS is stuck in the 90s. Let's be honest, right? What's an RTS game? You get like 15-ish missions. You get 3 factions. You get this glued-on multiplayer, and then every single time, the players are like, "Are you gonna support it? Can we get a patch out? Like, where are the casting tools?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's coming." And then maybe it comes, and then a year and a half later, it's like, "Well, that game's dead." And then you go to the next game and you rinse and repeat. So forget that noise, right? Our plan is, what if the focus is the longevity, right? Adding content, adjusting units, adding units, adding a faction, cosmetics, features for the game, mods, modes of play, casting tools, etc. You just keep supporting this. So that's the long-term game plan. Anyway, so kind of got on a tangent there. Let's go back to. First, going to drink of water. Let's go back to throwaway count. He asks, would it be possible to have a formation menu for units? Infantry, tanks, artillery, aircraft. Age of Empire did this well. Okay, so this is an interesting question. So the immediate answer to that question is yes. I want to have a formation move for sure. The details of the question. My name is Jonathan, by the way. Brooding Salmon. I'm Jonathan. So that's my name. I don't actually know your real name, Lucas or Clemens. Do you say that, or is that a secret?
It's no secret. They know that I'm named Clemens.
Oh, I thought that was your alias. Okay. Anyway, so formation move. Yes, I definitely want formation move. And what I'd like to do. or rather, the question is, to what degree should the formation, how should it function, right? So this is like infinitely granular, and what you don't want to have is a situation where you're fiddling with UI. I believe that when you want to execute, nice win.
Nice.
When you want to execute a command, whether that's queue up infantry or units, or order an attack, or a formation, or use a skill, it should be as quickly. You should be able to do it as quick as possible and as easy as possible. So I don't really buy. So for example, StarCraft, you have to have a lot of production structure. So if you're playing Terran, I'm not like the best StarCraft player, so this could be wrong. So correct me if I'm wrong. But if you're playing Terran, then you have to queue up a lot of Marines and Marauders at like a biostrat, right? So, but you have to press the key for each one that you queue up. So if you had 5 or 10 barracks, you're pressing those keys a lot, right? Why not allow the player to queue up a unit in all of them simultaneously? Like, is there really that much gameplay being watched there? I say no, right? That's not compelling to me. I don't care about how fast you can queue up units. I care about what your strategical and tactical maneuvers are during the game. That's what's interesting. So, so anyway, back to the formation question. So, what's the quickest way to do it? I really like CNC3 style. You would just, it's been a while since I played, but you would click and drag, like you'd click both mouse buttons, and it would create like a holographic image of all your units you have selected, and it would auto sort them into a formation. Well, the problem is it auto sorts it, right? So there's a certain level of control being lost there. So I guess I really don't know the answer quite yet. We have to think about it longer, but you know, you want it to be fast, because if you need to line up tanks in a formation, you want to do it like that. The command should be instantly, or like within a half a second. The player should be able to do that. Now, if the tanks have to maneuver based on how they were arranged before that, that's not on the game to sort those out efficiently. It's on the player to have them in such a way that they reach the formation quicker by itself, right? So there's a line that you draw there, and you can apply that line to lots of things, like how the unit targets things, or how they move around. But generally speaking, you want the most direct and simple route, because you want your units to be predictable in what they do, right? Because what's more frustrating is having a unit doing what it's not supposed to do, or not obeying. That's like an instant death sentence to an RTS. Anyway, yes for formations. Not sure how it's going to work exactly. I can see things like yeah, I can see things like having certain layers, like tanks before infantry. Excuse me, I'll get a frog in my throat. I could see options like, you know, having the units only travel at a certain speed based on what the slowest unit is, or traveling as fast as they can while maintaining the formation anyway. I could see, I mean, yeah, so there's definitely options there. Yeah, throwaway account also says something like, you know, area. So I don't consider a formation to engage different enemies patrolling area. So spreading out and patrolling area are what I call a command. So if you give it, well, a formation is also a command, but it's a specific type of command. It's either an attack or a move command in a formation. Well, I guess, actually, you know what, you're right. You could patrol in a formation. That gets pretty complicated, though. I'm not sure how that would work, because if you, usually the way a patrol works is you go to point A and point B and go back and forth, right? So it's not really, that's hard to do, because if you have like 10 units in like a box or whatever, and you want them to patrol 2 areas, what if they hit like a building, or they get stuck on like a hill? It gets really wonky. So that might not, that's a really complicated thing that's not really on our radar right now. But yeah, all those things are definitely possible. So at least formation advance or formation retreat. So which is also really useful when you back up. And what we want to do is add directional armor. I really like the directional armor idea, like a simplified version. So it's kind of like basically CNC3, where they had, I I think it was like there was a little bit of bonus damage on the sides and a little bit more bonus damage on the back. So that's a really nice feature, I think. So when you're on the attack or when you're on the retreat, you want to back up simultaneously, sort of thing. Alex asks, are there devs that have been in the modding community in something like CNC game? That's a good question. I have not, though I dabbled in StarCraft Editor. I made a map called, there was an old map called Evolution Wars in the first StarCraft, and there was a few versions of that. And the new StarCraft, it was kind of lazy, so I made, with the help of somebody who picked a different map, I made a map called Evolution Wars 2 or something, I forget. It's got a picture of a little Zergling, like a silhouette of a Zergling, and that's my map, so a little bit. I also come from development and non-game development as well, but you know, the common thread here is like we're pretty obsessed with RTS, so we want to see it back in the spotlight, is the general idea.
I mean, seeing it back in the spotlight is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not in the spotlight enough for me. Like when you see something like Grey Goo or Dawn working on it, it's like, yeah, that's pretty good. They're good, but it's like there's. I mean, I compare it to MOBAs. That's where I go with it. It's like, what? Like, where is the shiny stage? You know, basically it's just Blizzard. If you are a big RTS guy, and if you're a big RTS guy and you want to see the nice esports and the pro players and all that good stuff, or if you don't, I mean, you don't have to see that stuff. That's, you know, not required. But if you see that stuff, if you want to see that stuff, you're basically the only option is Blizzard, because we all know that EA is not going to go to it, right? I mean, how many times has EA dropped the ball on that? And I think that EA's had plenty of opportunity. I don't think that the executives at EA understand. I had a. This is a pretty obscure game, but well, I'm not gonna get that as a side topic. Anyway, so it's just not there, and I want to see it. Finn asks, is there a map building tool? I don't know what mal means. In the game, not yet. We were just discussing that recently, just today, as a matter of fact. We definitely want to do it. And it's something. If I could have my way, I'll definitely have that in the game. It's definitely a big part, but we can't give anything definite right now. But any game, like it's kind of like strategy. Like they always have a lot of longevity with map and modding tools, so I can't see a good reason not to have it in there. So anyway, thank you. Throwaway. He gave me a thank you, so I gave him a thank you back.
What happened to Westwood Studios? They were bought by EA, and then they were kicked out by EA.
Yeah, what usually happens is like EA or someone is like, all right, you know, we like what you guys are doing. This is really common in the industry, I think. And so a big company like EA, they will they'll buy a game franchise, and they'll buy it out, and then I mean, EA has produced some high quality CNC games, I believe, right? But they didn't see kind of they sort of saw the evolution of the strategy, like broad genre with CNC 2013, aka Generals 2, but it lost favor at the high level. It was kind of a bit of a weird situation, from what I could tell. The development seemed kind of unstable, and there was a lot of conflicting opinions going on, it seemed like. And when something like that's going on, and the executives get tired of it, they say, all right, screw it, we're just going to pull the plug on this whole thing. And the response was, if you remember the response after 2013, they said something like, well, we can't make the game the community wants. Like, trying to blame the community, that's pretty sad. That's pretty lame, in my opinion. Like, it's not the community's fault that you guys couldn't deliver the game, right? So they pit it on the community, and that was kind of the... And there's no CNC game in the works, right? EA has a lot of the CNC guys have moved on from. I think let's see, I forget where I got that information from. I'm pretty sure that's an actual thing. Don't quote me on that. And they just kind of bailed on the franchise. They don't think that it's worth the time. So, and there's no. I don't know of any. There's a lot of indie efforts going on, that are like CNC-ish. But I don't know anyone who's tackling the problem like we are. We're saying it's not just going to be your X amount of missions plus tackling multiplayer. It's going to be, we want this to be a long time thing, you know, where it's like years later we're adding content and fixing things and adding cool cosmetics and features, and you guys are still playing, you know, the gameplay that you love. So let's see. That's what happened to Westwood Studios. EA ate them. They made what was it called? Victory Studios for 2013 CNC, but
Victory Studios, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. David asks, will there be live action cutscenes? Not. I don't know. Probably not. So the focus is going to be, the focus initially will definitely be multiplayer, right? We think that that's where the longevity is. A multiplayer gamer will buy, like, it's kind of like you earn the trust, right? So you have a free-to-play model, and it's like, try the game out, and if you like it, and people get involved and passionate about it, then they will spend the money. But normally it's like the reverse, right? Before it's the reverse. It's just trust that we made a good game and you give us your money. And it's kind of weird. 15 years ago, it'd be weird to think that, like, it would be weird. I'm sorry, I missed your question, Brooding Salmon. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I'll come back to your question. It would be weird to say, like, hey, you know, you can make money by not charging someone, and they can buy things in your game if they want. Like, that doesn't sound like this is how it would actually work, but it does, right? And so when you build trust with the people, with supporting the game, then they will put money into your game, a lot of money, right? Because it's not just that you buy the game once. People with a lot of money to spend want to spend money on lots of things. It's their hobby, it's their passion, right? So they're going to want to decorate and tweak and modify lots of things in the game, and they'll spend money on it. And then, but if you don't want to spend money, you don't have to. So the game's just available for you to play, or you can spend just a little bit of money. You know, the occasional purchase here and there, that's also totally fine. So okay. So I got off track again. So will there be live action cutscenes? Not initially, because we're focusing on multiplayer, because we think that that's more beneficial to the community in the long run, and it's more beneficial to us financially. So it's a win-win for us. So let's see, what else? Yeah. So but in the future, I could definitely see an option for single-player content or cooperative content and lots of cool, flashy stuff like that. So definitely not ruled out. Before that, Brooding, he asked me twice. He says, "What can you tell me? Can you tell me the factions from this game?" So right now, what you're seeing is a faction called UNI. Yeah, it's gonna be hats. I have a thing to say on that here in a bit. So hold that thought. Funny image of a.
What did he say? I can't see it. What did he say?
So I was talking about the cosmetics, and Throwaway says, "Oh, they're going to be hats," and then I get this image of like a hat on a tank or something like that. So it's just funny. I'm going to talk about that and absurd microtransactions here in a second. So let me go back to Brooding though. Factions in the game. What you're seeing right now is UNI. It's just a mirror match. UNI is our prototype faction. So making RTS is hard. So we need to make a prototype. That's what we did. And we're working on a first real faction. And the faction is we're not ready to reveal it yet, but we do have a power plant, a barracks, and a tank built for it. And the tank's it's pretty cool. It's called the Pride Tank, and it's got you can upgrade. One of the upgrades for the tank is a rocket launcher on the side, and it's going to have an industrial feel. We'll reveal more of that information later. But there will be other factions. We're not ready to talk about how many factions or what the factions are exactly, but we will in the future. Okay, let's see. Cutscenes. Yeah, so he asked when we started developing the game. It's been about 2 years, actually. 1.6 isn't quite right. It was about 1.5 years when I came on. I came on about 6 months ago or so, I think. About like that. So about 1.5 to 2 years. Let's see. Proper Sag says, "Hi, I'm a programmer making slot machine games. I want to one day move to another country where I can find a job in the gaming industry." Yeah, if you want to make games in the gaming industry, make games, right? Just make games. So what I recommend you do is you want to start by making what I like to call the 1 week game. So the goal is to make like a PC game. Like you can download Unity for free, and you can just script this in C#, whatever you want to do. I recommend C#. And you can just make a game in literally 1 week. So budget out your time, right, Sag? And then you just say, all right, all these hats. This is ridiculous. You budget out your time. Staring at hats. Now I'm like seriously considering like, okay, what kind of hat we put on a tank? Like, where should we put it? On like the top of the barrel where the guy would sit, or like where should this go? So budget out of time for 1 week, make a game, and you have some experience in slot machine games, so you're ahead of the curve here in my little scenario. But budget out the time and make a game, and when you're done with that, make another game, another game, another game. Eventually, you're going to start learning how to do it. And then what I would recommend is try to form a team, but you don't want to make it too big. Think small, whatever you think, and then cut that in half, and cut it in half again, cut it in half again. Like you want to be really small with your projects, and that's. And then of course networking is the other thing. So it's basically skills in networking. Finn asks, "Is there an option to transfer money to teammates?" You know, I'm not against that. I think that there might be some balance issues with that. If you can funnel money to someone immediately and they like fast tech to the absurd tank and they just like, I mean, I'm not against it inherently. Well, there might be some stipulations on it. So we'll see. Or maybe what we'll do is more interesting is like offer a way that you can like use your allies' resource centers in some way instead of just giving money to them. That could be more interesting. I'm not really sure yet, but that's a good idea. Okay, so let's talk about throwaway account or throwaways hat idea. So I'm working on this theory. Let me know what you guys think. People like cosmetics, but only certain people like. Only certain people like. Sorry. Certain people like silly cosmetics, right? And so you get this problem where you have people and they are concerned about like the general look of the game. They don't want to. People don't want to see. In general, people don't want to see the rainbow unicorn floating cloud tank or whatever it is, right? Some kind of like silly-looking tank. But sometimes you do want to see that. So the question is, how do you find that balance? So I had this thought. What if you make silly, obnoxious cosmetics, but they can only be used at a certain time of the year? So for example, April Fool's Day, like that entire week, it's like, hey, you can buy all the crazy cosmetics. And then for 1 week, everyone plays the most absurd, like marshmallow tanks and unicorn vehicles and whatever. And then it's done. It's done for, or maybe like every 6 months, something like that, right? And you have this little event. And then it's just done. And it gets out of your system, and everyone has a laugh, and you go back to what the game's supposed to be. So that's my working theory, right? Like thought right now. But I'm not sure if that would work or not, because I know that sometimes
I think it's going to work pretty good.
What's that?
I think it's going to work pretty good.
Yeah, I know that sometimes those things. It depends on my mood, because sometimes I like seeing the marshmallow tank. Other times it's like, okay, the marshmallow tank again, like really. Like there was this one time, I was playing Guild Wars 2. This is a long time ago, and there's a necromancer. Right, I'm a fan of undead stuff. It's like a little like that's just a personal thing with me. I like zombies and liches and that sort of thing. So I'm a fan of undead stuff, and there was this necromancer, and it was like this girl like in a really pretty dress, like rainbow wings, and I'm like, this is not a necromancer. Like I'm sorry, you're not controlling the undead. You're not looking the part. And that's when I realized, like, okay, there has to be a limit or some kind of like middle ground with this sort of thing. So anyway, that's where my thought is on the hats and stuff. Marshmallow tanks. Pride tanks. So what you're saying is the LGBTQ is a faction. Yeah, we're gonna have the first ever trans tank. So get ready for that. Tip my hat. Let's see.
The trans tank.
Yeah, someone made a joke about the LGBT community. Let's see, who else? We got some questions here. Yeah, so Sky makes us asking more about the money transfer thing. I think Throwaway mentioned it too. So he says, if you can sling money to your opponents, limit the units that can be purchased with those funds in your example. Yeah, that's kind of weird to me though. I don't like the idea that you can throw a certain amount of, like, it's like another set of rules you have to learn where it's like, he gave me 5,000, but I can only buy certain kind of units with that 5,000. That seems like extra complicated. I'd rather it just simply be, you can transfer it or you can't. And you can transfer it at a certain time or through a certain mechanism, and it just be that. So the options for me would be like, you can transfer immediately or after a certain amount of time, or you can your supply vehicles can go to a resource center of an ally who allows you to, and then take from it. Like, that's more intuitive, I think. So anyways, yeah, marshmallow tanks, good idea. We should do that. Marshmallow tanks, they shoot M&Ms. Is there going to be a campaign? So I answered this earlier, not initially. So we're looking at multiplayer first and foremost, and then we're going to figure out what we want to do exactly with the campaign in the future. So we think that's what we think the mistake is on a lot of RTS these days, is they put a lot of resources in the campaign, and they don't have many resources for multiplayer, right? And then, but the multiplayer, so people who like campaign a lot, they tend to play the campaign 1 or 2 times, and that's it, right? People who like multiplayer a lot, what they want to do is they want to play the game over and over and over again and get better and unlock new stuff and purchase things and clan that, cast this, mod that. It just goes on and on, right? That's what where my interest is in. Initially. So, but the campaign's not going to completely out. Didn't you already ask that? You already asked that question, dude. Brooding Salmon, short-term memory. Yeah, so we don't... The faction count is not final, and what you see right now is the prototype, so we're going to be releasing more information on factions in the future. Throwaway says, on cosmetics, maybe an option to not view them. You can have a strict view. Yeah, that's a good idea too. I'm not opposed to that idea, and everyone gets what they want. But at the same time, though, it's like, well, do you buy a cosmetic to show off? You know, what if I buy a cosmetic and no one sees it? Like, part of that is like showing that you have. Like, let's say for example, you win a tournament, and part of the reward is you get this nice-looking model for your pride tank or whatever, right? Well, you want to show that to people. That's part of your like prestige, right? And if you can turn that off, it's like, is that fair to the person who earned it or bought it? I'm not sure. So that's something to consider as well. Brooding asks about stealing supplies from enemies. Yeah, it's possible. I would say through a particular mechanism, not just any truck can do it. Like, not just any supply truck or supply thing can do it. Yeah. So it's definitely possible, like a saboteur type unit that can steal funds or like copy the funds in some way. So that's definitely possible. Yeah. Let's see. Maybe I'll look through our documents and share some ideas that you guys think. So let's talk about resources a little bit. I like talking about RTS things. So let's find something. Where is this? Here we go. So here's some ideas for tossing around. So as you know right now, we have 2 resource types. I think 2 resources is interesting. Having 2 is a good number. So we have ore, which is O-R-E, right? And we have oil. And the way that what I want to do with the resources is make it so that simple units. So all units will use ore, and only some units will use oil. And the oil is going to be for specialty units and for tanks primarily. Like a Humvee would use ore and oil, but the oil amount would be pretty low because the Humvee is not a specialty unit and it's not a tank. So what I want to do is make the tanks kind of a really powerful unit in general, not like absurdly powerful, but basically more powerful in general, because I think tanks are really cool and it's kind of like the hero of our game. You think of like a hero in a MOBA, like the heroes are our units. And so we'll throttle that with the amount of oil you can get. So the player has to decide on a strategical and tactical level, like what unit do I need, and how do I spend my oil? So that's the general idea for that, and we're throwing out some ideas. For example, let's see, where did I write this down? I thought it was here. Yeah, so kind of like these secondary resource types, they have a bonus, and these could be like optional, or they could like be randomized, or they could just be turned off. So the idea is that, so for example, let's say there's a third resource that's an optional resource. So one example could be gold, right? So if you get gold, the function of gold is that you can pad your resources as you need them. So if you're low on oil, you can use gold for oil, or if you're low on ore, you can use gold for ore. And so getting the gold might be like a risky location, but it gives you that economic flexibility. Or there could be other types of resources that you get, like diamonds or titanium or some other like mineral or like an ore, and it will give you some kind of bonus, right? So instead of just having more of the same, you get a resource type that changes kind of like how the game is played a little bit, or you decide to build units with a certain resource to get a bonus in those units. So it's not finalized. That's an idea we're talking about. It could be interesting, but just give you an idea of kind of where our head is on some of these gameplay features. Finn asks, how many players can play on a map? So we're working on multiplayer right now. That's one of our top priorities right now. And I would say that the limit of players would be based on the limit of like computers and the technology and stuff. I don't really care. I don't really care for limits in general. But it gets to a point where it's like absurd. Like you can't have like 40 on 40 players. That doesn't make any sense. But like I would say like the general mode of play would probably be like a 3 on 3. That feels pretty comfortable in terms of like you get 2 friends or no friends, right? And then you can decide to play against these other people, and it's interesting strategy and kind of mass tanks and do that sort of thing. But if you want to go 1 versus 1 and go more hardcore in the rank side of things, you can do that as well. As far as the limit goes, I don't know. I mean, the limit will be wherever the limit stops us from moving forward. So I could see a 4 on 4 or 5 on 5. I mean, why not, right? Maybe more. I don't know. Let's see. Allies. I'll read through the comments. Give me a second here. Players on the map or an oil. Map's going to be. How many maps are there going to be? Right now we have 1, and we're working on the second map. And the second map is kind of 2.0 map. It's going to be a canyon theme, and we're going to add how many maps? I have no idea. Like as many as we want is what we can make. We might change maps, replace maps. You know, just do whatever it takes to make the map fun, make it fair. If it's a bad map, we'll just mix it, maybe. You know, or maybe make it for download. You guys can play with it. I don't know. All those are good options. But how many maps? As many as we can make. Death Fort says, can resources run out? So what I want to do is make it so that ore can run out, but oil cannot. And here's why. If you spread oil around the map, you maintain these locations of interest for the player, and it can't run out. And it's also how you make. It's also how you make the tanks and the special units, right? Because if you just have ore, all you can create is basic stuff like infantry and some other minor things. So, I want to keep oil infinite and ore runs out. In addition, every faction will have a secondary way of gaining resources, gaining ore, right? So, for example, it's not built yet, but the way that so if you remember in Generals, you had the UN supply drop zones and the black markets and the hackers, and that's how you could gain money, right? So it was like they built in a mechanism into the faction that you can generate money basically for free, right? And it seems like a weird thing to do in an RTS. Why would you just make a self-generating resource thing in a faction? But the reason that you do that is because when you get to the end of the game, when the resources are dry, players get very scared, right? If you think that you're not going to have enough resources to recover from an attack, players generally will not attack unless you're really aggressive or you know exactly where your limitations are, right? So you want the game to keep being aggressive and keep continuing. So that's what makes those structures so important, is that if you know you have that economic backbone, you're still going to make moves against your opponent, right? So for example, but we're taking it to a different level. So I want to make it as diverse as possible. So the way that, like, the hackers had a secondary function. So the function of each thing was like the UN supply drop zone was just simply it dropped money every several minutes. And then the black market had upgrades, but it also generated money like every 2 seconds or something like that, right? And then the hackers had a secondary function, which was like almost never used. Like you could disable a vehicle or like a building or something like that. But people just put them in the back and let them hack money constantly. That's what they do, right? So it just generates money. Now that's a viable option for sure. But like the faction we're working on right now, which is our first non-prototype faction, it has a drill. So it's just a building that you place, and it generates resources in itself. However, you have to gather it with your trucks, with your resource gatherers. So there's an extra step there, and it matters how you build where you build the drills and where your resource centers are. So a little bit of forethought is required to get a little bit more efficiency, for the really skilled players. So that's one example. Another example could be something like, well, there's this kind of sneaky ninja guy, and he goes in your supply center, and he can either steal cash, or he can like copy the cash that you have, or he could like whatever resources that player brings in, you also get that amount of resources. So that would be like an alternative method to gain resources, but it's a more active method. That would be like an advanced kind of faction. It's not easy for everyone to play, like a very technical faction. So that's kind of like another way of doing the resource things. Let's see. So that was the resource coming out. Canyon map, awesome. He likes the canyon map. I like it too. We're actually choosing it. So here's a little secret right now. Anytime you see in development of a game, this is a secret, don't tell anybody this. Anytime you see a development in a game, if you see limitations of some sort, so it's a way to hide something. So for example, we chose a canyon map because we don't have buildings done yet, but we want to have the ability to garrison buildings. So we said, okay, crap, well, we need to make an interesting map that doesn't have buildings, because we're not done with that yet. So, all right, canyon. So that's what we decided to do. That's a little insider trick for game development. Mods on 0 hour. So Alpha? I can't say him.
Ultra Raptor.
Yeah, it's just Raptor actually. For me, it's Raptor.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So Raptor asked, can we create mods like on 0 hour? So we want to do mods. We're not sure on the details yet, but it's something we definitely want to do. So
I need to restart the game because Fokker 4 is not turning on again.
Uh-oh. Did that happen once already?
Happened right now.
Did it happen before? Like in the stream?
No, this is the first time, I think.
Oh. So on the mods, I really hope so. I think so. But I can't give you a definite answer yet. But we're definitely pushing that way. So as soon as we know one way or another, we'll definitely say it. I'm not gonna play hide the ball with that one. Alex Rob asks, is the game pretty optimized? No, it is not optimized very well at all. Although we're making great strides in that area. So poly count, texture size, particle density, etc. Like these are all things we're looking at, but it's definitely an important part. And I want to have the ability to for for players, like the general player, to make lots of units. I think that most people want to see lots of crazy. So I think most people want to see a lot of units on the screen, generally speaking. But pro players are more interested in like the technical aspects of the game, like how can they do all kinds of cool like micro techniques and strategical techniques and that sort of thing. So I'm kind of an idealist when it comes to this sort of thing. I think that we can do both. Not simultaneously, of course, but the game can function in both ways. So it's all about tweaking the dials and making sure that the timings are just right and that sort of thing. So we are in the process of optimizing. Brooding asks, oh, he didn't have to go. He's still here. Brooding asks, how many troops can you make at a time? Do you mean like in a certain facility, or like just in general? Like how many can be active on the battlefield? I think we have a limit right now, but I don't want to limit in the future because limits are dumb. So actually, some limits are important, to be honest. Let's be honest. But when it comes to unit count, like if you want to make a game where you have like 1,000 tanks, just why prevent the player from doing that? Like just let them have fun, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with that sort of thing. Not going to be there won't be like a supply limit, but there might be like a supply mechanism on a faction. I could see that being a thing. So in terms of how many you can make at a time, it's based on how many production facilities you have. So if you have a lot of production facilities, then you can make more units simultaneously. But yeah. And also notice too, so you're going to notice like pretty intense spam on this game. I should have mentioned this earlier, but I'm saying it now. There's a function of our resources right now that's not intended, where multiple supply trucks can gain supply at the same time. That's not intended. That's going to be fixed. We want to make it so that you can scale economy on both a resource node and throughout the map. So the new faction will have that kind of feature. So for example, you can build a supply. What was it called? It's called a resource center, I think. So this is the name for this. And you can scale up the resource center and mechanisms. So for example,
you're lagging right now. You're lagging. Jonathan, you are lagging. I think we just lost Jonathan.
Wait, how about now? Do you hear me now?
Yeah, you are back now. You are lost. You are lost.
I had a little hiccup. I had a little hiccup in my internet. So I forget where I was saying. So basically, so the resources, I was talking about resources and trucks and drop-off points. So there's several ways to scale your economy. So you build a facility, and what's boring is...
Oh, you're dropping again.
My internet could be...
Okay, now you are back.
Huh.
But your voice is like...
Is it bad right now?
It's better right now, yeah.
I'm gonna close some things, just to make sure.
Okay, maybe stop downloading porn file stream.
Yeah, with that. Might be. Alright, well, if it happens again, just scream again. I can't really control it though, so hopefully it'll just go away.
Okay, we just continue, I would say. Should be fine now. cncHD, you should sing whenever John disconnected. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, fill the void in. Okay, so where was I? Getting my thoughts. So what's not exciting to me is when you build a facility of some sort, and then you build up, like you queue up like 2 trucks or 2 helicopters or whatever, or a certain amount of infantry, like gathering units, and then you just leave it alone, right? That's pretty one-dimensional. So the way that StarCraft solves this is they say, all right, you get several resource gatherers at start, and then you have only one resource gatherer can gather from one node at a time, but the time it takes to return is longer than it takes to mine it. So you get this bit where it's like there's certain levels of efficiency you can add to it by adding more workers. So I kind of want to do something like that where we say, all right, you can build a facility, you can have the trucks.
Jonathan, you're there? Jonathan? Jonathan? I think you lost Jonathan again. Okay. Okay. Ah, you're back. I was just about to start singing.
Dang it! Yeah, that sucks. I think my internet's just acting weird right now. I'm not sure it's. I'm not sure it's gonna hold on. I don't know. I'm not sure where I was. I'm just gonna continue my thought. So, you have the ability to add several different drop-off points. You upgrade it over time, and then but when it's upgrading,
and we are losing Jonathan again. Jonathan, we are losing you again. Thank you. You need to restart your internet. Okay, what do I sing, guys? What do I sing?
Is this it? Do I sound okay right now?
Yeah, but it will drop off in a few.
Well, I think I had a program. Our version control was freaking out, and it killed my internet sometimes when it does this little bug thing. So
okay,
that may have been it. So let's see if it happens now. I think I may have figured it out.
All right.
But that was the end of that thought, though. So the point is, scale.
We are losing you again. Okay, Jonathan, you are having problems again. Guys, it's okay. We will have Jonathan back on the stream soon. He right now trying to fix his connection problems. It's okay. It's okay. Technical difficulties happen sometime. So, hello to 22 viewers. Welcome to the stream, thank you for tuning in. We have one of the developers here on the stream. He right now has some connection problems, but he will be back soon. He is right now fixing them. While he is gone, while we have the void here, I will try to fill the void with my awesome commentary. We can see a hard AI here on this map in Warzone Middle East. The thing we are right now trying is defeat the AI with just turrets. Maybe it will turn out, maybe it will not turn out well. We will see. It's worth a try though. We can see that the missile defenders are very overpowered at their current state, but that's going to be fixed very soon. They tank a lot of damage, and our turrets, that's something which Master of Ruffleness pointed out. Also, shout out to Master of Ruffleness. He pointed out that tank hunters are very tanky and they just don't die, and we can see that here. But like I said, the developers are working on that, and they are trying to fix that as soon as possible so that the tank hunters are not so tanky anymore. This game is wonderful. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Sing some German song. Oh god. Oh god. Jonathan? Jonathan? Okay, looks like Jonathan is not here. Sing some German song. I could sing Rammstein. But you don't want to hear me singing. If I start singing now, we will lose viewers. That's guaranteed. Okay, turns out the turret spam is not that good. Is there a chance of playing generals today? Yes, after this stream I'm going to stream some General 0 Hour. That is going to happen today. Okay, bye bye Brooding Salmon, thank you for tuning in, and bye bye, good night.
I can try answering a few questions.
Okay, looks like we have Avi here. Hello, Avi.
This is Lucas. Sorry.
Oh, Lucas. Oh, sorry. I still need to get used to the voices. So, hello, Lucas. Lucas is one of the developers, And
Hello, everybody.
if you have any questions, ask them to Lucas.
So I think John got interrupted just talking about the economy. So the economy, he's right on the money, but at the same time, it's worth noting that we're still working on the balance aspects. There were some questions about, well, if you would be stuck with non-oil units if you ran out of oil. I think that's the idea, that you restricted in your unit choice until you recapture those positions. But it wouldn't be unimaginable to think that one of the factions has an economic workaround for that. Scrolling through, and to answer the question, I don't know if he did, there shouldn't be any reason that there's going to be a limit on how many units you can produce in a queue, other than the ones we can set. But there might be gameplay reasons to restrict that to make sure you can't constantly produce units persistently without checking up on it. Let's see. Somebody asked how we're going to set ourselves from Command and Conquer generals. I feel like, while we definitely have a lot of the inspirations from it, we're not shy to make improvements where the game doesn't hold up. I think in general, what we're straying away from anything random in order to keep it competitive, which means we're not going to have missiles only randomly hit aircraft. This will keep any calculations you make with mathematics accurate. We also are interested in more, as we mentioned, we're interested in longevity, which also means that we're more interested in more than just 3 factions and their various generals. I believe the idea is that we're going to be giving ourselves as much space as we want to expand, while at the same time keeping the gameplay tight and balanced. Is there any questions I've missed? I'm trying to go through the backlog here.
There are a lot of questions. Let me see. I think you answered that pretty good with the resources and so on. Currently searching for one.
Can you make various types of defense? I think that there's going to be more defensive emplacements soon. All we have right now are these little missile emplacements. As I understand it, especially with you and I, there will be more advanced ways to defend your base, and I suspect that the ways that the defenses will differ will be in their effectiveness versus individual units, groups of units, and possibly specialized defenses such as anti-aircraft emplacements. But right now, we just have these standard emplacements for gameplay purposes. We for sure have I think we have the Patriot planned, and I would sure like to work on something not unlike the Patriot system's networked fire modes, but that's just my opinion.
So by the way guys, if you want to learn more about the game or talk to the developers, talk to the community, there is the official Discord server down below in the description of this live stream. You can click this link and it will directly be linked to the Discord, and there you can meet all the great people and ask your questions directly there. You can also get the beta version through the Discord server. Just go there, fill out the survey in the chat, which is called emails, I think, and then you will get access to the current beta version. Like I said, link to the Discord is in the live chat down below in the description.
Actually, okay, so Alex asks if infantry have more range than the RPG. I think the RPG still outranges them, but I would also like to say that infantry balance is still a little precarious. As mentioned, the missile defender is being tweaked, and as I mentioned before, we're adding splash damage in order to add an extra element of countering infantry swarms. And then Ultharaptor, which I confused with Utahraptor, asks if there will be some factions. As I understand it, if anything, it's going to be more focused on the sub-factions than the main factions. From what our ambitions are to have each individual sub-faction have more individual units, or at least have plenty of individual units than shared units. Similar to how Command & Conquer Shockwave made sure to replace lots of standard units with their own unique versions. I believe there's a very strong emphasis on the sub-general, so to speak, rather than assuming they're just mutations of the larger factions. However, we are more focused on the balance and mechanics of the factions rather than their national origin. So, for example, if we have an idea that sounds good, we're not going to be afraid to change which faction it belongs to if we feel like it serves the game better. So there's nothing solid beyond what you see here in terms of the factions, but I very much expect there to be more emphasis on sub-factions than their vanilla counterparts. Hopefully that answers that for you. And your next question, I do believe we have interest in the beach heavier aircraft and bombers. AC-130, we have not mentioned specifically. I could possibly see that going to a air focus general, though the curmudgeon in me tells me that you're not supposed to use an AC-130 in conventional combat. But we have lots of plans for larger units as time goes on. I believe in this playable version we only have the F-22 and the F-35, but that's far from the extent of the air vehicles we're planning to include.
Yes, I think that answers that question pretty good. Is there do you expect the next version coming soon? What are your thoughts about the next version? Do you think the next version is going to be out very soon, the next patch version, or do you think currently there is some more time needed to fix some more things and then the next version will come out? Can you say something about that?
I can't promise exact features, but I can tell you for a fact that the team is very excited to show off all the new content that we have. I believe at this point we are growing exceptionally fast, perhaps faster than any other time before in the development. I can say that our personal goal is to have all of these new features, which includes multiplayer, polishes to movement and navigation, and overall the cosmetic fixes. You should expect to see a new update for players in the new future. We do have multiplayer in the works right now from the guy who's done everything else so far, and I look forward to seeing how that plays out. And we are also going to have new content to show everybody in the form of units and maps and so forth in the near future, but I can't give you a concrete answer with that permission quite yet.
Nice. What is your favorite?
So join.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. So join the Discord. We're very motivated to keep everybody there up to date with cool new things and keep people excited. So if you haven't already gotten the link, go there, try the beta, tell us what you think, and the sooner you can tell us what you think, the sooner we can make it even better. Sorry, go to what you were saying.
No problem, man. No problem. I wanted to ask you about your personal experience and your gameplay. What is your favorite unit so far in the game? What strategy do you like to choose when facing the AI? And what can you give for tips? What can you give as tips for the players who want to play that game and struggle against the easy AI? What tips can you give them to defeat the easy AI? Do you have a good strategy in mind?
That is a pretty good question, and so that goes into, so far the AI is surprisingly robust. I was taken by surprise. I can only defend myself by building a ridiculous amount of defensive structures and missile defenders, and then I have this system of churning out as many aircraft as I can and doing this perpetual line of missiles to kind of keep the enemy away. I've only managed to beat the AI about twice, and that was through lots of slowly advancing with lots of missiles from infantry and defenses, and of course aircraft. And I love the way that aircraft, their effects, their missiles fly down, they take out that unit, big nice explosion. Yeah, I'm mostly a defensive player, and I favor the aircraft, and that works sometimes, but the AI is still very mean to me.
I can understand that. A shout out to all players who tried out the beta version so far and who enjoyed the gameplay. I watched some of the YouTube videos right now which are going viral here on YouTube currently. What I see very often in these YouTube videos, the players are very confused about what to build to face the AI. If I may give you a tip, in the beginning it's very clever to go to the second ore very fast, so get your second and third ore very fast, get some solid income, and then build 4 or 5 barracks and 4 or 5 war factories. Start taking up very soon with the tech here on your HQ, which you have here on the bottom left bar, bottom left position. Tech up very fast, get these MLRS out, these ones here, the artillery, because these do the most damage in the current version. And with just massing units you will get a pretty solid progress with dealing with the AI. That's a tip which I can give out to all the new players. Don't focus on building too many defenses. For all those who just witnessed this turret spam of me in the beginning, you saw that this is not turning out very well. Focus on units, and this will assure you the victory. Another tip I can give you is against missile defenders. I noticed during this gameplay here, build some jackals, I think jackals, it is pronounced jackal. Build some of these, and these will mess up the missile defenders pretty good. I just noticed this during this gameplay.
Alex Rob is asking about defensive walls. Those are definitely those are definitely a feature of Command and Conquer games, going back to the very first one where you could make chain link fences. I don't think we've discussed too much about it. There's definitely strategic implications of being able to cordon off territory. And more conventionally in these settings, I would expect mines to be used. But I'm sure, if not for all factions, I'm sure a faction could make use of those big territory securing defenses. But I think we can bring up, I think that this should be brought up next discussion we've had. Good question.
And a few are asking pretty solid questions here on the stream. I really like that. I also like that the community is looking forward to this game a lot. The feedback for this game is pretty positive so far, and I really enjoy to read these comments. Also, I'm a partner here of this team. I work for them as streamer. I work very close with them as a streamer, so I can assure you that developers are working pretty hard on the game. They listen to the feedback very, very closely, and if there are some points brought up by the community, for example, all the missile defenders are too OP, the developers are listening to that and they are working on that as fast as they can. I can assure you that. And yeah, so bring out your feedback, give your feedback, be critical. The developers can take it, so please be critical and post your feedback, and only if we have feedback we can improve the game. So please give us all you can, and we will ensure that this game is going to be a next hit in the RTS franchise. RTS brush.
Alex Rob asks once again about the pace of the game. I think what you see was what you get. It's definitely quite fast-paced. Even if we decide to change the rate on which units are made in the future, I still expect this game to be rather decisive. I personally enjoy the game most when it's when battles are solved somewhat quickly, and definitely solved with thinking and strategy over just speed. But I think the goal is to have an intense game that keeps you on your feet and keeps you engaged throughout the entirety of the game. As much as I love RTS games, playing it recently. It made me realize that it requires an immense amount of patience, especially games where you don't see the enemy for the first 15 or so minutes because you're so busy with infrastructure building. So we're definitely looking at something where there's a little bit of starting off, but then it escalates quite quickly and is over in a reasonable amount of time. Once again, in my experience, I played an RTS game for hours, sometimes even more than that, in like Company of Heroes with friends. It's fun when you know them and you're in a room and you're joking around, but I think over multiplayer, we want the games to be over in about. I think the idea was like 5 to 15 minutes, maybe 10 to 20 minutes. Just the experience with MOBAs tells me, and I think everybody else that's working on it, that many smaller games are more satisfying than one extraordinarily long, drawn-out experience.
Yeah, I can agree that with that. Short games are the best games. I'm a replay caster from Command & Conquer Generals in Zero Hour, and I can say that 10 to 20 minute games are the best games. Also, these get the most attention on YouTube, and people like these most. If you see a 50 minute game, then most of the time the viewers sleep in after 23 minutes or so. So these fast-paced games are very important and needed, so the players are not going to sleep in after 50 minutes.
Yeah, with RTS games, it's much like an argument. If it just goes on too long, nobody is having fun anymore. You just gotta make your point, and then if it sticks, you lose. If it doesn't, if it does, you win. But it's just got to be over before it gets stale.
I mean, it's also very stressful. I mean, just take StarCraft 2 as example, where you have heavy macro. If the game just goes on for 1 hour, the people are going to sleep in. Their hands are just sleeping in. They are at 400 APM the whole time, and they have to keep that up for 1 hour. That's insane. I mean, I don't know how much APM this game here is going to require, but I don't think it's much. I think even a slow gamer can win this pretty good.
How I see it is that taking a cues from other things, I feel like if we, I'm hoping that we're going to allow people with high clicks per minute and low clicks per minute to participate with our game design. And so if somebody favors lots of movement, lots of micro, they should be able to find their place by mixing and matching lots of units and combined arms. But I'm sure that but I believe that the best way to help the people that aren't into that is to still respect a play style where you're managing a smaller set of units, you're looking at a smaller part of the screen, but as long as you're making the right decisions, you are no worse off. And I definitely want to go for that, because as somebody who respects StarCraft and all of its done, I am terrible at StarCraft. I am very bad at StarCraft. I have never been good. And so, just speaking from an honest standpoint, since I'm bad at StarCraft, I would rather not have this game play exactly like StarCraft while allowing people that do like it to play it. And so I think the best way to do that is to have the greatest variety in our units, which we've been pretty adamant about, and to minimize the unfun, you have to play this way to win, the single play style that dogs a lot of other games out there. We've all played a MOBA and had fun with the character, but then found ourselves playing them the wrong way, and that's very unsatisfying. So I think as long as we keep in mind the variety of people that want to have fun with this game, we will find the balance of the best of both worlds, and I think that's going to show as we come out with more versions.
Are you guys on the stream?
Yep. Oh, Jonathan is back. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey. Did you fix your internet?
Yeah, I think they're doing maintenance on something, so it's been kind of acting a little bit strange lately.
Oh.
Let me get the link again. Let's see.
But Lucas did a pretty good job here with answering the questions, so thank you very much, Lucas, for helping out Jonathan here. That is very much appreciated.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and keep the stream from getting overcrowded, so I'm going to duck out and let Jonathan take back over his slot. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hope to talk to you in the future.
Yeah, bye-bye and thanks. I think this is also going to be the last match for today. I think we
done for sure.
Yeah, I think we covered all questions. If we missed something, please let us know now. Yeah, in case you missed it, Jonathan, we just talked about the fast pacing and comparison to StarCraft 2 and how much APM is required. Can you beat it with just low APM? So that was just our topic here.
Alright, see the hats. So where was I? I forget what I was talking about, but you guys probably changed the topic, obviously. It's been a while. So yeah, I got the tail end of what Lucas said. So let me make some modifications to what he said. So the reality is players who can play faster will have an advantage. And I understand Lucas's sentiment, but I don't think that we can make a perfect system in which a player who plays very slowly can compete with a player who plays very quickly, because ultimately it is an RTS. It's in real time, right? But what I think he's more concerned about, I would say, I'm going to kind of read between his lines here. He's more concerned about not playing against players who just demolish him, right? And that really comes down to matchmaking. So if you play against someone who's way better than you, it's not really fun. You're not really learning that much. But I think that most players who are on the lower, so I think that what's going to happen is at the really low level of play, it's just kind of like, baby's first RTS. It's just, I have a few buildings, I have a few units, and I'm moving things around, and I'm just exploring what this game's all about, what the genre's about. And then there's like this next group of players. It's kind of a spectrum, obviously, but the next group of players that's like recognizable is you've got players who know how to like build their base and can secure resources and build a lot of units. They build up units and they smash into other units, and then the victor, they do that a couple times and the game's over, basically. It's the general idea. That's where I would say most players play. And as you go away from that, you start getting faster and more technical, and you're never going to have a player who can compete with a pro who's not fast, right? Because by definition, the more actions you perform, the more you're accomplishing, basically. But whether that's on a macro scale or micro scale. Now, what is not interesting about StarCraft, in my opinion, is macro. A lot of time spent doing actions on macro and queuing up units and doing kind of what people would just kind of say is like chore work. And StarCraft players, RTS players in general, but particularly StarCraft players, are like super stuck up out their game, right? And this is true for RTS in general. RTS players are like a different breed. They're like, no, it's not a MOBA, it's an RTS. This is how it's supposed to be, and micro that, and resources that, and tank this, whatever. But StarCraft players are even more like that. Like, they don't deviate from the StarCraft formula even a little bit, in my experience. So, but I just don't think that, like, you don't really see highlight reels from people who queue up Marines, right? You see highlight reels and how they control their Marines, or maybe like over the course of a game, like some kind of strategical plan that unfolds. So that's kind of like a more nuanced answer to what Lucas was saying, I think. But the details on that sort of thing aren't quite ready to be discussed, but we're going to try to make sure that right. And when I'm saying that, Skymix, I mean like someone who's like way better than you. Like, you want people that are roughly your skill level, and so you might lose to a player who's a little bit worse than you, or you might win against a player who's a little bit better than you, or somewhere in the middle, or whatever, right? And you want to have an area that's manageable. What you don't want is someone who's way, way better than you, and you don't even understand why you're losing. It's like you get out one tank and he has 10. Like, that's not fun for either player. So, and I think that in general, people who are approximately the same skill level will be moving at approximately the same speed. So, anyways, I guess this is it. This is the end of the stream.
Yeah, I guess so too. I think we covered all. Last question, and then we will end this. Master question by Domo Bren.
Yeah, I saw this before when I disconnected. Super weapon question.
Does it have super weapons?
Okay, I'm not gonna read everything else. This is my last one. Yes, and we're thinking of ways to make them as unique as possible. And one of the super weapons that we have doesn't even deal damage, but it's still a super weapon, right? Like that's an interesting and unique kind of super weapon. You don't have to have a nuke that smashes the ground with a super weapon. And also you can have a diverse is it like a multi-strike attack? Can you use it every, maybe you make one that's like once every 2 minutes or once every 6 minutes or whatever, and those can diversify further. And we're gonna make sure that we don't put upgrades on the super weapon. So if you want to play without them, you don't have to worry about not getting upgrades, right? And you don't have to do the okay, you built your Chinese nuke, get the upgrades and then sell it. Remember that from Generals? Like that noise is a good thing of the past. So it'll be like a checkbox or like an optional mode of play. By default, we'll have them because you generally need to have base crackers, like something that can soften up a defense line to get in there, right? Something that cracks a base. Sorry. Stupid American joke. Anyway, so that's what the role of super weapon is, and it also breaks stalemates. And but yeah, we'll have it. It can be optional. Expect various types of super weapons, and that's it.
Okay, I think that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Jonathan and Lucas, for joining the stream as well as developers and asking and answering the questions of the community. I think it was a pretty good stream here. I really enjoyed my time here on the stream, enjoyed the gameplay, enjoyed playing the game and listening to your answers and of Lucas' answers. I enjoyed that. Looking forward to more, and if you want to play the game by yourself, there's a link to the official Discord server in the video description and also now in chat. Just follow the link and join the official Discord server of this game. There you can also play the game. Just go to the channel called Emails, fill out the survey and wait for the email, which will arrive usually in like a few minutes, or I don't know, it's not automated yet, but it arrives very fast, the email I mean, and then you can download the game and play it by yourself, enjoy the game, and then have some chat with the community in the Discord. That's going to be it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in, and this is your host cncHD. See you on the next stream, next video, and have a good night. And for all those who want to see more Command & Conquer, I'm now going to stream some more Command & Conquer, so stay tuned for that, but first I need to get a break. But later, some Command & Conquer. Thank you, Jonathan, for answering all these questions. Thank you for
thanks
the
for hosting.
Yeah, no problem. And I say now bye-bye, guys, and till the next time.
Take care.